Elon Musk's announcement he will form a third political party is causing turmoil for Tesla stock. While those who shorted the stock are set to make about $1.4 billion in paper profits, other big whale Tesla bulls are seeing this as an opportunity. Cathie Wood of ARK Invest sides with Elon and is not at all concerned. We'll watch that video. Dave Portnoy publicly announced he bought $10 million worth of Tesla stock as he sees a 10% bounce back in 2 weeks. Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary, a longtime bull, is upset, saying the American Party is a bad idea. And Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities is now calling on Tesla's board of directors to immediately take 3 steps, one of which is to restrict Elon's time spent on Tesla. Well, good luck with that. Joe Bakhti has a YouTube channel covering both Tesla and AGI. Check out his website and community at pioneerlands.net. Welcome, Joe.
Good to be here. Exciting times in American politics.
Yeah, it's Elon made it so, but we're going to watch to see what Tesla bulls have started to do and the shorts and where the stock is heading. And we're going to watch a number of very good videos. Let's start off with ARK Invest. So Cathie Wood, she was just interviewed and she was asked the question, what are you guys thinking about the political party and what's going on? And let's listen to what she says.
Now, what Dan Ives said to us yesterday, that he believes Elon Musk is crossing a line and that the board needs to step in. Do you share that view?
Well, I have to tell you, we've been dealing with controversy around Elon Musk in one form or another since we first bought the stock when the company was founded in 2014. And we own Tesla it's one of the top holdings in 3 of our ETFs, so ARKK, W, and Q. So we are watching this like a hawk, no question about it. But with the experience over the last 11 years, we turn around today and see Tesla really not an EV manufacturer anymore, moving into the robotaxi age, we believe successfully, and we believe it will scale much better than most of its competitors. We see SpaceX really owning 90% of all of the satellites out there, Neuralink transforming lives of paralyzed people, people with ALS. And probably most surprising of all, XAI. Now, we own all of those, again, in our venture fund, following them very carefully. XAI is, on some benchmarks, it hit a point that O3 Pro hit in June. It hit it in February. So, we are very focused on barriers to entry, technology, moats. And we believe that the moats that Elon has built, and obviously this is not just Elon, he's attracting the best and the brightest to help solve some of the world's biggest problems. So again, we do trust the board and the board's instincts here. And we stay out of politics.
Well, we'd love your opinion on the current situation, just on Tesla specifically. You mentioned some phenomenal companies doing some incredible things. For Tesla, though, do you believe that Elon can pursue his political ambitions at the same time pursuing the best interest of Tesla shareholders?
One of the announcements Elon made recently is that he is going to oversee sales in the U.S. and in Europe. And when he puts his mind on something, he usually gets the job done. So I think he's much less distracted now than he was, let's say, in the White House 24/7.
Well, let me pause it there. Joe, she's defending Elon, doesn't think it's going to be a big deal at all. What's your opinion?
I mean, look, I always am blown away. My mind is blown when people think about or talk about controlling founders, not just Elon, but any founder. I went through the whole experience myself as a founder, where what kind of absurd worldview is it to think you can control a founder's time? It doesn't even matter if it's an Elon Musk level founder or any founder. I mean, the point why anyone is a founder is because we want to control what we are doing ourselves, and we operate. And when I say we, I just mean all founders. I'm not saying I'm like Elon. I'm just saying all founders have that in common. We think we know what we are doing. And if we don't know what we are doing, you're just screwed as an investor and you can't do much about it. You cannot control people who found things. You have to pick your winner and bet on them and then, hope they get the job done. And Elon has a tremendous track record getting his job done. And I think the idea that he can't manage his time and therefore he needs babysitters on the board or whoever, Dan, Ives, who tell him, oh, now you have to get up. Now you should brush your teeth. Don't take 5 minutes like yesterday when you brushed your teeth. It took you 6 minutes. I told you only 4 minutes. 2 minutes you could have spent on Robotaxi. And now don't think about America Party. I want you now to think about AI. That's stupid. That's not how it works. You have to let these people do what they want to do. The human brain is very complicated. And the idea that you can micromanage time slots in Elon's brain is incredibly stupid. So I don't even know who has these ideas. I think I completely against it.
I love it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's what Cathie Wood is saying too, right? She's saying basically, I trust Elon and I trust the board. And look, let's just redirect the question again back to what are all the things that Tesla is able to do, what Elon's able to accomplish. Let's listen into the rest of the video.
Do you see sort of the political landscape shifting, though, not just for Tesla, but for the haves and the have-nots in some of the big tech space? I know you've had a complicated relationship, say, with Apple, which seems uniquely pegged by some of these tariffs. Is there anything that you could see that would make you like that stock again, or do you think that really it is going to fall out of Magnificent Seven?
Yes, we've been watching Apple for a long time with an AI lens. And that started, I'm going to say, about 7 years ago when it was becoming serious about autonomous vehicles. If you think about the ultimate mobile device, it's an autonomous vehicle, and that should have been Apple's to win. And what we've seen there is one turnover of management teams after another. And it's all around, autonomous driving is an AI project. It's the largest AI project on Earth, we believe. And so losing the talent that it has, and as I understand, it lost another one today to Mark Zuckerberg's top 50. So they've had a lot of trouble in this regard, and I think the burden of proof is on them.
Do you think that it is time to follow the talent, that this is going to work, the gamble that you're seeing over at Meta, and that that's the path of travel for the other big tech companies that are going to just eat some of the companies from the inside out, take the talent, not necessarily buy the company?
You know, it's a very good question. We're trying to figure out if what Mark Zuckerberg is doing today is much like he did when he was pivoting hard to the metaverse. Which proved, because he thought that was the next big thing, and that was incorrect. AI is the next big thing, no question about it. And you do have to have the right DNA, and you have to move fast and break things, as he would say. So, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to turn his open source strategy, and we've admired that quite a bit in terms of generative AI, into a leader again, or as we were observing it, Apple's Llama 3 at the time was improving at a faster rate than some of OpenAI's models. And that was true of open source generally. And then that has stopped. So yes, he had to do something. Is this the right thing? Why did that stop? I don't know.
Yeah, so I let that run because I wanted to hear, like, her saying that autonomous vehicles is the largest AI play in the world. Here's Meta trying to build an AI team. Guess who has autonomous vehicles? Guess who has the biggest AI team already? It's Tesla, it's XAI, it's Elon Musk. Yeah.
Well, I would say, when I look at the AI race, I'm a big Elon fan. But we should absolutely not underestimate these two major competitors, which is OpenAI under Sam Altman, even though he looks a little damaged right now. But I would absolutely not underestimate him. Now, I would rather have, if you have to pick our overlords, I definitely pick Elon over Sam.
Exactly.
But it's not our pick. That's the bad news. It's whoever wins. And the other guy, vastly underrated, is Zuckerberg. And I said this very early on. Zuckerberg was the first one of everyone who bought H100s like crazy. They hit 300,000 of these things before anyone else. Like, Meta is absolutely underrated as a player in AI. I think they are potentially number one. I think it's between these three. OpenAI, which we should not underestimate. I'm using, my favorite AI is ChatGPT. I think it's super powerful right now. I mean, I don't trust it, but it's incredibly powerful. I think Llama, it's open source, but it's underrated because Zuckerberg is not even trying to have the best model. He's building this meta AI, no pun intended, that codes the AI. He said that most of his resources go into the internal coding AI that codes the AI, which is very dangerous, but very smart from his perspective. And then we have Elon, who's still unclear how strong XAI will perform, but obviously it's a clear candidate for winning this whole thing for obvious reasons. But we should understand that it's a very tight race, and these people are very formidable. This is not Mary Barra at GM. Like
Good point. Exactly. Okay, so Tesla stock is in turmoil. We're seeing some bulls come in. We're seeing shorts come in, but there's an opportunity here, and I know you follow this quite well. Here's Dave Portnoy. He's a well-known kind of trader, and he's buying $10 million of Tesla, betting on 10% downs. He says that he just can't help himself. He sees this as an incredible opportunity right now.
I'm looking at the stocks. This is a stock. Someone said, hey, do stocks. And what do you think I'm talking about? How do you think this started? I'm looking at Tesla. It's down 7.5%. I'm debating, do I put 10 million into Tesla right now? Hope to make 10%. That's $1 million. That's how I look at the world. Do stocks. What do you think I'm doing? You think this is just a kiddie show? Do you think we're just fucking sitting here playing tiddlywinks? I got my hammer here, and in my brain, it's cranking like this. Do I put 10 million in Tesla right now because down 7.5, and I wait till it gets 10%, which I think is 2 weeks. I make $1 million. I go to Saratoga. Opening day is this Thursday, even though it was really last week, but I'm jumping on a plane Wednesday, going to Saratoga. Do I take that million, wait for the Saratoga sale on Whitney Week, and buy $1 million gray horse? What do you think we're doing here?
And he did end up buying it. He did make that bet.
Well, that's, I said it. I said I should become a swing trader because this is so dumb that the stock is constantly crashing. So for those who are not watching the stock, Dave made the right call, and he made $278,000 since yesterday. It's up 2.78%, 10 million. That's $278,000 pushing a button in 24 hours. So yeah, it's obvious. This is stupid. It's always dropping on these political news, and every week now it's the same story. Like, oh my God, he tweeted this, 10% down. And then boom, 3 days later, 10% up again. And that happened already twice with exactly that pattern. And now we are in round number 3 with exactly the same pattern. So I don't know. I'm always telling people Tesla is a stock. It's about discounted cash flows in the future. That is a function of their core business, especially of Optimus, and of course of Robotaxi. Nothing has changed other than that stuff is expanding like crazy or being prepared to expand. Like, what are people doing? I don't get it. So unfortunately, I was traveling, so I didn't swing trade too much. Also, I'm very maxed out because I'm all in Tesla. But if I had some bucks left, that was an easy trade.
Are you concerned at all, or do you give any validity to the people who are concerned that with the fight, creating your own third political party sets it up to be to reduce or may delay regulatory approval that is favorable for autonomy?
That's why we are doing Pioneer Lands. I think the world is going into an age of total chaos. I think there's an event horizon in 2028. Beyond that, we can't even look because of AI and all the crazy things that are happening with unemployment and AGI and all kinds of stuff. I think it's very important to predict politics accurately and see the power plays going in what direction they go. And I think Trump has to be pissed a little bit right now, or play like that he's offended. But when you look at the details, how he responds and how Elon responds, they're still playing it very friendly, very friendly. Yeah. Also, his little rant about Elon was very harmless for Trump. He said he's going off the rails. That was the worst thing he said. There's still no nickname. There's no nastiness. I tell you why. Trump, if you're a political analyst, the odds that Trump will lose control over Congress in 2026 midterms is like 90%. Just history, it's obvious, right? Everyone always loses control in the midterms. And they have a razor thin majority. So the GOP is likely going to lose the House and the Senate potentially. Very likely. Very likely. Now, if the American Party comes along, Elon is not a dummy. He doesn't want to damage the GOP. He wants control of Congress. How do you get control of Congress? by having exactly enough seats that neither the Dems nor the GOP can control this thing. They will lose the majority, both of them. They will both lose the majority, and that's not hard to achieve. He has to go after more Dem seats than GOP seats, which is easy. He needs to get 12 Dems, 8 GOP seats, and he has firm control over the entire House. It's crazy. I'm coming out with a video today on this, the full analysis of what's going on. Now, if that's true, that's a good thing for Trump. That's a much better way for him to retain control. Then all he has to do is get along with Elon. Now, these two are not even disagreeing on anything. They disagreed on tactics. Basically, Trump doesn't want to spend and bankrupt America, but he's saying, well, I'd rather bankrupt America than not getting my way. Mm-hmm. But if he had the choice, getting his way and not bankrupt America, of course he would take it. But he can't get it done with the GOP. If there's now Elon coming in and telling Trump, you know what, I forced them to be more fiscally responsible. You get your stuff. Of course, Elon would be for closing the border. He would be for, being fiscally responsible, for tax cuts, all that kind of stuff. There is no dissent on these things. It was a tactical disagreement. Yeah. And that could be resolved if Elon becomes the decisive factor in Congress. So, and that means Trump is a heat-seeking missile, and he is not someone who's just destroying random people. He's not heat-seeking on his enemies. He's heat-seeking on power. And if he sees Elon as the key to power, that's a good thing for Elon, not a bad thing.
Oh, yeah, good opinion. So you think that Trump and Elon will remain, if despite the public spat they're having, they see that each of them are important, so they haven't quite separated fully. Good analysis. Stock. Let's go back to that. You got the short sellers. They're about to pocket $1.4 billion in profits because the stock fell. This is compared to, this is because of the announcement of the new U.S. political party on Monday morning. It fell 7.5%. They already made $4 billion in June when that first, the feud that started to happen. So this is, like you said, it's just bouncing back and forth. Kevin O'Leary, who's one of the Shark Tank famous people, who has been very, very positive about Tesla and Elon. He's actually not happy with this political party.
A lot of animosity between the Trump and Elon, not so much from Trump, but specifically from Elon. What's up with that? And the stock, by the way, is way down today as a result of his announcement, down over 7.5% right now.
You don't have to tell me I'm a shareholder. I've watched this volatility because of politics. Here's what I think about this idea. Bad idea. Here's what has to happen. Trump and Elon have to get back together again. Frankly, I'm thinking of calling both up myself and saying this is stupid. Yeah. It's stupid for everybody. This is bad for America. We need the #1 industrialist, the most advanced in technology worldwide, working with the most powerful man on earth. It doesn't matter about politics anymore. It matters that these two are working together. These are giant egos, and it's not good for America. It's just bad. We don't need a third party. Ross Perot tried that. Bad idea. It's all bad. These two guys have to get together. I'm not the only person that feels this way in his inner circle, where everybody knows this is bad.
You know, people like Mamdani are all over America, and they're waiting for the opportunity of Republican Party to get split up by a new party, and it would be just what the socialists need.
Well, I want to make a comment about the bill that set Elon off. I read those 900 pages. Not many people have. I read them. And I want to do a shout out now because this bill is about supporting small business in America. And Elon really felt that his task, his mandate, was to cut costs. And then he saw the fact that trillions were added to the deficit. What I don't think he understands is this is what it took to get the tax base anchored, which was so important. And a shout out to senators that were so important. This Ron Johnson, Rick Scott in Florida, and it's Bill Hagerty. I work with them for small business. They have your back, small business. These are great, great lawmakers, and they work on this bill for us. And I think at the end of the day, Elon doesn't think that through. We need him to understand you have to give and take in politics. We'll work on the deficit next, but the way we solve for it is small business grows in America, 70% of the job creation. Thank you, senators, for that.
Okay, yeah, that's his opinion. What's your thoughts?
Kevin O'Leary. I don't want to say anything bad. He's a great guy. He's on Shark Tank and he does his commentary. But what we have to understand is why I like Elon. why many of us, I think, like Elon, is because he's not a narrow-minded little business dude who does some mercantile trading in his life, right? And Kevin O'Leary is known for, okay, he's a hard-nosed little deal maker, which is fine. You can be that. But if you do that, you should not be in charge of the future of the world, because if you're in charge of the future of the world, you need to look beyond, your 10 investments and how they make, money. You have to think bigger. You have to think about, what if America goes down? What happens at the event horizon 2028? What are our options as a country? And I think Elon does exactly that. That's called first principle thinking. And so I think Kevin is just completely wrong, because it's not about, in my opinion, Trump will actually need the America Party. He will need them because the GOP, you see what, I don't want to go into Epstein and all these things, but Trump is right now a little bit in trouble with his base, with a lot of people who are disappointed. He looks like he's getting sucked into the swamp like a lot. And he also looks with a big, beautiful bill that he made a compromise. And in order to get out of that, Trump doesn't need Elon to be in the GOP. He needs more leverage. He needs more leverage over the GOP, Trump. And his best shot of getting that is if Elon becomes that leverage, and Elon should be smart enough to understand, don't take votes away from the GOP and then let the Democrats dominate the House and have a majority. Of course, Elon is not going to do that. How dumb would he have to be to do that? So he will be the decisive leverage for Trump, in my opinion. And either Trump already understands that or not, but I think he senses it. That's why he's cautious and keeps the options open.
Oh,
and that's very important, Herbert. I think you're on the same page. Most of us are on the same page. That is what we like about Elon. It's a first principle thinker. And he's not just thinking like, oh, who cuts my EV credits? And I'm against that. Like, no, he thinks like, who cares about the EV credit? I care about the future of civilization. If America goes down, I go down. So we need to maintain a strong civilization. And we are right now on a path to not maintaining that for many reasons. It's a very complex game. And Elon understands this game. I think Trump also has good instincts in this game. That's why I'm pretty optimistic that they might get in a little feud now.
Yeah.
Who cares? But I think Trump will sense this is that's actually a great opportunity.
Yeah. I think if you put aside, you're thinking of, do you trust Elon or you don't trust Elon? That's the first word, is trust. The second thing is, do you recognize that Elon really focuses more on the future? He's not being driven by money. So if you think that he's being driven by money and his short-term importance is important to him, then that's I think a wrong opinion, but that could be your opinion. But if you realize that he's not worried about the short-term money and he's thinking about the future, then everything kind of starts to make sense, doesn't it? Right? What he's most worried about is what happens in the future, very near future, by the way. We're not talking 10 years. We're talking 3 to 5 years. China is cornering the market on low sustainable energy, right? Solar and energy. Here you have the American big, beautiful bill killing that. We need to be building that. We need to take our deficit down so that we can afford this. And that's what he's working on. That is focused on. So,
and it's not just the policies. It's not just the specific policies like that, what you just named, which is totally true. I think it's much more on the meta level that he sees the dysfunction. It doesn't even matter what the exact policy problems. What matters is these problems will go through the roof in the next 3 years. It will be insane what's going to happen next. And we are dysfunctional. We can't make good decisions. And that's scary. And so we need to change the system. And the leanest way is, I think, the America Party. It's a good idea. And you already see Mark Cuban. You see, Scaramucci, the Mucci. You see, of course, Chamath and David Sykes. Like, you have a very strong former Democrats or current Democrats, right? I think, already forgot his name again. Rachel Maddow. What's his name? I just mentioned him before Scaramucci.
I don't know. Yeah.
This guy. And so I think there's a lot of interest from, smart, rich people who all sense the same thing, that something needs to be done. So, and I always call it, when I say 3D chess or chess, I think people have to also understand the nature of chess. If you look at chess and how you play chess, it's not that you plan ahead all your moves, because you can't. It's impossible. What you have to say is like, okay, my next move, how does it change the probabilities on the board? I can't predict what exactly is going to happen, but I want to maneuver my little pieces into positions that maximize my, defensive and offensive power in the next move, probabilistically. And I think, that's how Trump and Elon operate. And for Elon, the next move, he realized cannot be inside DC. It needs to be from the outside. And that this America Party is a huge opportunity. It's actually not that hard to get it done. I analyzed that and I came to the conclusion it's actually much easier than people think. It's much easier than Doge. So to Cathie Wood's point, I think there will be much less distraction with that strategy and more impact.
Okay, let's listen in to Dan Ives, right? So he's been out, and by the way, I'm going to have a big live stream with Dan Ives tomorrow at with Alexandra Mertz and Jeff Lutz debating him, because he came out with this post saying that he's pleading to the board of directors of Tesla. Actually, kind of funny, he said directions. Board of directors take the following 3 steps in our view. Okay, 1, a new pay package getting Musk to 25% voting control clears a path for XAI merger. 2, guardrails established for amount of time Musk spends at Tesla as part of a pay package. Ooh, give him, like you said earlier, okay, you give him some time. You got to be at work at 9 in the morning. Oversight on political endeavors. This is hilarious. Elon replied to him and he said, "Shut up, Dan." What do you think? This is crazy. Some of his comments here.
I can super relate to Elon when it comes to that, because I think there is, as I mentioned before, I think there's a certain character trait that people like Dan don't understand in entrepreneurs. This is the number one thing, how to trigger people like Elon or me for that. Like if you would tell me that, I would go nuts. I would get very angry, very triggered, because the one thing that you don't want is people telling you what to do. That's the whole point. And you're just creating massive friction. You're basically telling Elon, instead of trying to save America, you have to start a giant fight with the board and with Dan Ives, because that's a much greater threat now. So that's stupid. You just don't do it. Just let Elon do his stuff. Elon is not a dummy. He understands that he needs Tesla and he wants to build Tesla. So as I said, this is like not how these people operate. Like these people know what they want. Let them do their stuff. If you start wanting to control them, all you do is you really distract them, because now they need to eliminate you. But that's the only thing you achieve. Like, okay, Dan needs to be eliminated. That's the only reaction you create if this becomes a real threat to Elon. So
it's just so far off. His suggestion is so far off from even being useful. He just said, stop it. But so a couple, I mean, his 3 points, by the way, sounds good, but actually is, I think, wrong. One is asking for the 25% share of voting control. Absolutely. Elon's been asking that. The problem is this might not be the time to do it. I don't know what would happen if a vote was made, let's say this month, shareholders, that they would vote in favor of Elon getting 25% voting control. It's like happening.
By the way, I totally agree. I think it's not a good time, because most institutional investors are not like, they're like Dan Ives. They're like, oh no, now all these problems. And I think Elon has also an alternative strategy. I don't know if I talked about this in public.
I know what you're going to say, because this is what Alexandra's been thinking too. Yeah. Which is retail investors?
No,
getting more retail investors?
No, a much bigger strategy than that. I think I've discussed it already. I think it's about XAI, the merger.
Yeah, right.
Because do the math on it. Like I don't know how much he owns, but probably 50% or something. He owns like a big chunk of this whole thing. Now, what happens if you merge? I mean, I don't know what the valuation is. Isn't the valuation 300 billion or some crazy, or 100 billion, something big? I mean, that's a lot. Tesla is at $1 trillion. If that thing is 300 billion, we're talking about 30% of Tesla. And that means he would get 15% of Tesla. He's currently at what, 19? I don't even know where he is. So, I mean, that puts him at what, 35% of Tesla? So if he gets this merger done at the right, opportune time, where the relative value of X is relatively high, like a 30% of Tesla, he solves this entire problem. And that's not peanuts, that's like giant. So of course, it's a power game. Like XAI needs to be in a strong position for this negotiation because the board will, of course, have a major say in it. But, that whole thing, makes this whole thing dwarfs the entire debate about the compensation package.
Yeah.
And it's a nicer thing because I think Elon likes this much more because he comes from a position of strength. He's basically saying, dudes, what do you want? What do you want to merge or not? Yeah, the valuation, so let's just take the valuations. What do you want? And if not, you're stupid. You're blocking the future of Tesla. Whereas with the compensation package, he's the beggar, right? He says, please pay me. And then it was, well, who are you? Why would we pay you? And then all these institutions like, well, you want too much. So it's a very annoying situation. Of course, the retail shareholders will help him, but you never know how this plays out. I think X is much more, it's much more something he likes, where he thinks that, well, I forced them to do it at my terms.
Yeah. I like the idea. I don't know if it needs to be a merger. I just think that they can share some ownership of XAI to Tesla in order to get him his 25% voting control.
Oh yeah. Well, it needs to be an equity exchange, like a major thing. Because I think what is the future? I think we are building here a giant AI company that, where Tesla is kind of the embodiment and the sensors to take in the world's information, and XAI is the brain. I mean,
you can't separate the two. They need to be part of which they are. Okay.
Which, by the way, is a major operation. People don't understand. This is like a bigger operation.
One time, Elon actually said, at one point, he said that the brain is the only part of the human body that is you. Everything else you can take and replace. You can even have heart transplants. But the brain, you can't. Once you take that out, it's not you anymore.
And by the way, I think it's so important that people get the big picture. Also with Zuck, what he's doing there is incredibly smart. And that's Zuckerberg's first principle moves, that he really understands economics. What he did with Instagram and WhatsApp, where everyone thought he's crazy and pulled out these enormous checks of 16 billion or 19 to buy WhatsApp, was totally the right move. He understands now with AI. Everything people think, they think in analogies. AI will dwarf everything, and it's going to dwarf it now, like in the next 24 months. And Elon understands it too. And I think these are much bigger fish they're frying, all of these guys. And, that's why when people think, the stock is, should drop 7% because of politics, they don't understand this thing can 100x, in no time if this happens.
Nice. Okay. Well, folks, if you like what Joe's been saying, you got to check him out, because this converging between everything Tesla's working on and AGI, that's what he is. He has a community. He has a website, pioneerlands.net. Check him out there. Thanks, everybody. Bye, Joe. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.